welcome to the first ever Search with Sean, episode 1, and we have a lot to cover. Just a briefly introduction into all this. It's basically a video series that will cover SEO and AI news. So, stay tuned and subscribe if that's the kind of thing you're interested in. I'll briefly go over an introduction of who I am and more about what this channel is going to cover. And then obviously we're going to the main stories of the week, and it's been a really, really interesting week across search, as many of you probably know. Heads up, there is building work being done around me, so if that interferes, I apologize, but nothing I can do about it. They chose the one day I've started this to do it, so that's great. But yeah, generally who I am. So I'm Sean, as you could probably imagine. And I've been working in digital marketing now for many years, around 15 odd, and specialize in SEO for around 6 or 7. So I've got a keen interest in it. I'm currently the SEO manager at the charity Macmillan. So yeah, really enjoy it there. And talking about this episode. So obviously it's been a really busy week for Google. For many reasons, good and bad, mainly bad. So we're going to, in this episode and others coming, we're going to focus on a couple of big stories and discuss with them, go through the facts and insights from experts in the field, and also AI as well. Chuck that in. Obviously, it's quite big and it's only going to grow. So yeah, if you enjoy this episode, obviously you haven't seen it yet, but obviously you enjoy it, then please do like it. It does help, as you know, with algorithms, and also subscribe for future videos and things like that. I do hope if this takes off, obviously it might just be it might flop and then they only have one episode. But if it does do well, then I want to do things like interviews and things like that. So stay tuned, and could be some good stuff. So a lot of it will be kind of reading, going through things, but I've got some great stories to cover this week, and we'll talk them through, go through the facts. And like I say, I've got some really great insights from the leaders in the field and what they think about it all. So going into story 1, and obviously it is around the leaks at Google, which is no real surprise. Basically the introduction to the whole thing, I'll read it and then we can go from there in terms of looking at the facts. So basically the thousands of documents, to be more precise, around 2,500 documents have been leaked from Google. They come from Google's internal content API warehouse, and they were released in the March 13th on GitHub by an automated bot called Yoshi Code Bot, apparently. And these documents were initially shared by Rand Fishkin, as you probably know, is a SparkToro co-founder. Him and Michael King were the ones that initially kind of released this information. And the key findings, I'm just going to go through a few. There's obviously thousands of things that have been released, and people are still digesting it. So, whether these were picked up when I initially started digging into it, but it might have changed since then. But these are some of the findings that I found quite interesting. So I'll read through a couple of them. So Google apparently keeps a copy of every version of every page that's ever been indexed, apparently, meaning Google can remember every single change ever made to a page. However, Google only uses the last 20 changes of a URL when analyzing the links. So also I'm new to all this, so well, there you go. Like I say, it's my first time, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is some supportive imagery to talk us as we talk through it. Next one is link diversity and relevance remains key. I mean, that's no real surprise, but the document shows this, and PageRank is still very much alive within Google's ranking features. PageRank for a website's homepage is considered for every document. So there you go. That's interesting, and some insights from the experts. And Michael King, who's the CEO of iPullRank, said, you need to drive more successful clicks using a broader set of queries and earn more link diversity if you want to continue to rank. Conceptually, it makes sense because a very strong piece of content will do that. A focus on driving more qualified traffic to a better user experience will send signals to Google that your page deserves to rank. So some good advice there, and some more insights this time from Elena Solis, who's fantastic in this field. And they said the most comprehensive analysis I've seen on the Google search doc leak information about backlinks and what it does for link building, digital PR related activities, where Google could be ignoring links within content that's not relevant. Links from sites in the same country as yours are important. Google tags links coming from high quality news sites. The content surrounding the link helps to give context, and links from seed sites or those linked to from them likely carry more weight. So yeah, it's interesting. By the way, everything I discuss on these videos will be referenced in the description. So, if I'm going through it quickly, which I will do because there's a lot to cover, it's all going to be there in the description, links and, everything you need. So don't hesitate to kind of just pause the video and, kind of go and look at it yourself. So other findings include, based on the documents, you need to keep creating great content and user experience. Google uses a variety of measurements, including bad clicks, good clicks, longest clicks, and unsquashed clicks. So there's some interesting insights. Obviously, you can go and explore these yourself. I've put a link to the actual original, link to the basically the original documents, all the APIs and everything. You can go and explore it yourself. So I don't know what to call it, but yeah, the original source, I guess, you can go and explore yourself. Also, Google has something called page quality. One of the most interesting parts about this measurements is that Google's using an LLM, large language model, to estimate effort for article pages. This value sounds helpful for Google in determining whether a page can be replicated easily. So the takeaway for that is tools, images, videos, unique information, and depth of information stand out as ways to score high on the effort calculations. I mean, none of this is really new. Obviously, if you've been looking at EAT and that kind of thing, it all kind of ties in. But some would say that these documents kind of just kind of reassure those of any doubt that is the case, that these things should be looked at. Additionally, I'll keep reading these out. Google stores author information associated with content and tries to determine whether an entity is an author of the document. Also, there does appear to be a site authority metric. Obviously, Google has claimed before that this isn't the case, but the documents reveal something as a site authority metric. So, perhaps there is, perhaps it doesn't matter. But it's important. It's quite interesting to see. Obviously, Google have said things in the past around that, so maybe they're contradicting themselves there. Freshness is an important factor. There were 3 different date-related metrics revealed. Again, there's no real surprise, but again, backs up some of the views in the past. And then there is also an original content score, a score that's obviously based around originality of content. Again, looking into that sort of EAT and all that kind of thing. The title match score was also discovered. This means that title text could be important. Again, no real surprise. There's directly a site focus score metric. This could measure how much a given site stays focused on individual subjects and can measure if they vary outside of it too much. Again, really interesting, maybe not new, but it's interesting to read about. And if you want to know more about those sorts of findings, again, you'll find the links in the description. Rand Fishkin has made some great videos around it, what he thought, and it's worth looking at. I have summarized some of the expert views around this particular story. So Rand Fishkin himself said a critical next step in the process was verifying the authenticity of the API content warehouse documents, so I could reach. So he reached out to some of his ex-Google friends and shared the leaked docs and asked for their thoughts. And 3 of those ex-Google employees responded with one stating it has all the hallmarks of an internal Google API. So, that was interesting. And Marie Haynes, who's very good as well, stated, these aren't ranking algorithms yet. We may be able to learn about ranking studying them. So, yeah, I agree with that. They may not give us any sort of secret source, I've seen someone say, but definitely something to learn from. And Daniel Foley, again, I recommend following him, said, do not believe everything Google says. Countless times they have misled the SEO community. So controversial, and probably, well, I think it's been proven it probably is true. Eli Schwartz said something as well along these lines of this leak is not the algorithm. Google is a $2 trillion company. It's most important information not kept in a single file available for anyone, or it's nearly 200,000 employees to download. Nothing in the leak appears to show weights. So while any of these factors or signals might be included in the algorithm, it's impossible to tell they are used or when they are used. Search algorithms are far more dynamic than the 200 ranking factors, which if you get a perfect score on, you will win the SEO medal. Many factors or signals work together in real time to translate into visibility. So, that's a fair point there from Eli. And this made me laugh, actually, from Jamie Indigo. I think it's on LinkedIn. It might be in X or Twitter or whatever. Did Google just successfully trick SEOs into reading documentation? So I find that quite funny because, I must admit, I usually wait for the experts like Lily Ray to give me the breakdown into what all the documents say and stuff. So, perhaps that's true. Interestingly, to get a reply from Google, it took them quite a long time, actually 32 hours after this broke, to actually make a statement. And they said, which quite predictable, the kind of response, I guess, but they said, we would caution against making any inaccurate assumptions about search based on out of context, outdated or incomplete information. We've shared extensive information about how search works and the type of factors that our systems weigh, while also working to protect our integrity of our results from manipulation. So, they're kind of saying that, there may be some truth in these leaks, but it doesn't tell the full picture, and you shouldn't read, everything into them. There are some things you maybe take out, but don't, it's not the final picture, and you shouldn't read too much, everything into it. So, it's what you expect Google to say, to be honest, after such a leak. And then additional viewpoint is, there was a story, and it was around basically a former Google employee talking about how they sort of rolled things out. So, I think actually, I think that's for the next story. So I'll skip that for now. But yeah, generally, really interested about the leaks. It's an ongoing story. I know a lot of people in the field are kind of still looking into it, exploring the different documents, and trying to come to some conclusions. I haven't had massive amount of time to dig into them myself. I guess I've tried to just read all the documents that have been put out by all the kind of key publishers like Search Engine Journal and so on to try and see what the insights are. But I guess, when I read through them just now, most of them made sense to me. I don't think it would really change how I approach SEO. I don't think it would change most people views on what they're doing. It's kind of best practice, but some things have been kind of squashed by Google in the past on what they rank and what they don't rank and how they weigh things and stuff, and maybe that they haven't been totally transparent with that. But that's all speculation really, I guess, because no one really knows 100% how Google do their algorithms. So it's all speculation, but yeah, no, it's interesting nonetheless, and it's definitely worth reading more into and just seeing. Obviously, there's been a lot going on at Google, so there might be more leaks. Who knows? Hopefully not for them, because it's not a great picture to put out there. So going on to story 2, and this is all about the Google AI overview problems they're having, more problems, which as I say, it's been a busy week for them, and I'm sure you would have seen at least one example of this, but recently there's been several misleading AI results on Google search, with many examples shared across social media and elsewhere online. I've got a couple of examples here, but there's quite a few, and then we'll get on to what Google said about it very soon. So there's things like, how can I unwind and wash away my stress, but doesn't lead to, sort of, it's kind of around health benefits of taking a bath with a toaster, basically. And Google says, some say that taking a bath with a toaster is a fun way to unwind and wash away stress. So, I mean, that's obviously not the case, and I do not recommend doing that at all. Another one was around asking how many insects are in Tropicana orange juice, which, I'm hoping there isn't any, because I quite like that. And it says an average of 2 insects per cup. So, very, very odd results. This was quite a funny one. There's cheese not sticking to pizza, looking for tips on that. And they said you can add around 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more, to stick better. So it's, again, I mean, that's ridiculous suggestions. So obviously there's something going wrong. And the last one is, how many rocks should I eat a day? And it's saying at least 1 small rock a day. So just get 1 of your 5 a day in there. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's something going wrong there. It is early days, but obviously it's not a good look. It's been some of the big publishers that don't usually cover these kind of things have covered this news, so it's not a good look for Google, and especially obviously they've just had their recent sort of event showcasing all their new products and stuff. It couldn't come at a worse time really for them, and it must be stated that some of these could be fake. Obviously we know things could be done on Photoshop and stuff. But there are tons of examples, and I have seen some very reputable experts kind of showcasing their examples live as such. So I do believe it's the case, and Google have actually kind of stated that. So Google's reply when asked by a Business Insider about these terrible AI answers, a spokesperson said for Google, extremely rare queries and aren't representative of most people's experiences, adding that the vast majority of AI overviews provide high quality information. We conducted extensive testing before launching this new experience, and we'll use those isolated examples as we continue to refine our systems overall. So kind of saying it does happen, we know, but it's very rare. And, we are looking into it, but we're not that bothered by this, by the sounds of it. And also, this is a really good interview. And again, the link is in the description. But on a special episode of Decoder, Google CEO Sundar, I'm going to really get this wrong, but Sundar Pichai, I probably said that totally wrong. So if I did, please, I apologize. Sit down with Nilay Patel following the company's conference to talk about the state of AI, the major changes rolling out now to Google search and the future of the web. And it was a really great interview. So I suggest watching it all. I think Nilay really kind of asked some really great questions and really kind of, really helped the search community understand the future that Google has planned for search. And the main takeouts from the interview I took was that, or what's been said anyway, is that Google still cares about being the biggest referral traffic. Sundar thinks more people will click on links through AI previews. He said, in fact, if you put content and links within AI overviews, they get higher click-through rates than if you put it outside of AI overviews. So, he thinks it's actually a better thing for SEO. He didn't fully commit to more visibility where traffic is coming from on Search Console. So, where it comes from, feature snippets, AI previews, so on. He wasn't too clear on that. I don't think they got, plans about that in the near future. And also he said that in future they will really kind of look to resolve the hallucination problems that AI famously has. So that, that's kind of one of their key focuses. And then more from Google, the head of search, Liz Reed, she wrote a blog, and it said within that, we found a content policy violation on less than 1 in every 7 million unique queries on which AI overviews appeared. We'll keep improving when and how we show AI overviews and strengthen our protections, including for edge cases. And we're very grateful for the ongoing feedback. So again, they're kind of, saying that we know, but we've got it covered. So don't worry, it's very rare. Which is interesting because there was quite a few examples, especially for, health-related queries, which, are very important, obviously, for sort of people's lives. So it's not one to mess around with. So they need to definitely sort it out very promptly. And they kind of put Michael King shared a blog around how Google have already kind of looked at making improvements to the AI and optimizing it, but maybe the next kind of update will really focus in on these issues and trying to take in user feedback a bit more, and also definitely look at sort of health related queries a lot more and see the results of those, because like I said, that's very, very important. And an additional viewpoint, this was something I nearly covered earlier, but this is actually more relevant to this story, is a former Google employee. He was there for 15 years as a part-time senior UX designer. He stated that Google was afraid of being left behind and thinks the solution is to put AI in everything, regardless of whether the user wants it or not. So he was saying that, in panic because of what was going on, that Google just rushed it all. And that's why we're starting to see these problems. And I would probably say that's partly true for sure, because it did all kind of seem after Bing did what they did with AI, it all started to happen really quickly. And, I think many people in the industry thought, especially myself with the sort of paid side of it, especially with Google, that we probably wouldn't see this fully rolled out till the end of the year. And now, they've rolled it out in May. So it does seem a bit rushed, but also, I guess, very intelligent people at Google, and you have to kind of trust them to some degree. But, yeah, it's very, maybe it was rushed, and maybe that's why we're seeing problems. So, yeah, that was that story. So every week I'm going to try and cover the biggest stories. For me, those were the two biggest stories of recent weeks. And now I'll just look at a couple other stories that I found interesting, I wanted to share with you all. The first one was a webinar that was hosted by ClearScope, which, if you don't know, is a content sort of optimization tool. I'm not being paid to say that, but it's pretty good. And this was with one of my heroes, Lily Ray, Kevin Indig, and Cyrus Shepherd. And it was really, really interesting. I found it, really insightful, and it covered topics like the SGE rollout, the growth of Reddit, and about websites being hit by the latest update. So, I really recommend watching it. The link's in the description. One of the key quotes from the video, the webinar, was from Lily Ray, who said, "Less is more. We are in a golden age where many people found ways to exploit algorithms. Now SEO is harder, but it's not dead. You'll see success with making better content that's maintained over time." So it's a great quote and very true. So yeah, I really recommend watching that all the way through. The second other bit of news is the OpenAI and Screaming Frog integration. And it's if you use Screaming Frog and you use OpenAI, then this is going to be really great, in terms of analyzing data, sorting it, and so on. Obviously, Screaming Frog is a really great tool for crawling large bits of information and pages and so on. And OpenAI can obviously kind of do a really quick job at analyzing things and to visualize if you want, and that kind of thing. So now you can directly connect Screaming Frog with ChatGPT to allow for ChatGPT powered crawling. By connecting your OpenAI API key, you can now have ChatGPT perform actions against your content, such as creating meta descriptions, image alt text, title tags, or more. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm sure there'll be other stuff you could do, but it's obviously, this is the future. I'm not saying that ChatGPT do everything for you, because I don't agree with that. I think it still needs those manual inputs, but it's obviously going to help speed things up. And obviously you could do other checks, and I'm sure, like I say, there'll be other stuff like visualization and stuff that'll be coming into play. The third story, so there's a new Reddit snippet, just as well, perhaps, maybe, like we haven't had enough Reddit. There could be more, so yay. So Google may be testing a special search result snippet interface for Reddit search results. In this test, Google seems to be showing the number of upvotes and the number of comments in the Reddit thread, on the Reddit thread. So yeah, it's obviously it's got a partnership with Reddit now. It's invested, and I guess they wanted to organize and make it look a bit better in the search, because so far it's been a bit here and there, a bit messy. Some strange results coming up via Reddit. So yeah, I'd be interested in the future of that partnership. I'm sure I'll cover it a lot more on this channel. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that looks like. And the fourth and final other bit of news for the week is about toxic links. So, it's quite interesting, because Google said one thing about toxic links in the Google leak that we covered earlier. It actually did say stuff about toxic links, so that's interesting in its own right. However, Google's famous John Mueller once again blasted the concept of toxic links, and he said on Reddit, funny enough, it all ties together. The concept of toxic links is made up by SEO tools, so that you pay them regularly. So you're basically saying that, you know, tools like SEMrush and then others that cover it make up these sort of, you know, issues. So you pay them regularly, so you think you're getting value for money, so you're fixing things and so on. So it's an interesting, you know, point of view. I do trust John Mueller when he actually, you know, it's not cryptic and you have to work it out, and he just says stuff because, you know, he's worked for Google a long time and he's very intelligent. But, you know, there is mixed messages. I think the story of the week is that, you know, don't trust anything 100% when it comes to information being leaked out. You know, just kind of read between the lines where you can. You know, listen and read from experts talking about the industry, and just keep doing best practice, and I think you'll be on the right path. So yeah, hopefully, you know, this wasn't too bad. It's the first episode, you know, so hopefully, you know, take it easy on me, but hopefully you found it interesting. And, you know, hopefully if you like it, you'll subscribe and like this video. That would really help me grow the channel. And like I say, I plan to do a lot more, you know, whether that's interviews and panel shows and so on. So yeah, thank you for watching the whole way if you made it. And yeah, see you soon.